Alright guys, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be talking about some rank grinding. Now look, as you can see in the title, this is for people that are maybe hard stuck in silver and gold, or maybe even bronze, and how you can get out. Because look, it is rough down in the low ranks. It's rough in all the ranks, but especially after like silver and gold are a pain point for a lot of people, and we're going to talk about how y'all can get out of there today. Let's get it. So the first point I'm going to go ahead and bring up is teaming up. So silver and gold, you're still allowed to team up with other people. So you should take advantage of that, right? Because as you go up in ranks, it limits the amount of people you are allowed to play with. So if you have friends or you got in games with people and you had fun, just lock in with them, guys. Go ahead, team up, and go on with your friends, because end of the day, playing with friends versus playing with randoms will always be better. This is across all games. If you're playing a co-op game, you're going to play with your friends over some randoms. And the same thing applies here in a competitive game, right? If you're going in rank, try to team up with your friends. And if you can't do that, that leads us to our next one. And our next point is going to end up being playing DPS or tank, and preferably tank. Now, you might be like, but guy, I'm a strategist, man. Look, every season, whenever a new strategist comes out or a new anything comes out, right? What do? You click the character, you learn the character. So you might be telling yourself, oh, I cannot play DPS, I cannot play tank because I play strategist, or you're a tank, so you can't play DPS. You can, right? You just have to go learn, right? And there's a lot of different ways we can learn, right? So what are the ways? One, you can go to the practice mode. Just go to the practice mode, get familiar with the character's abilities. If you're playing dive, learn how to do combos, right? And once you do that, you take it into an AI game, right? You go into an AI game, and you get familiar with your centering and how to aim or how to do your combos on actual moving targets and things like that. And you start with the difficulty on the lowest, just so you can get your hits locked in, and then you upgrade it to the higher ones, so the characters or the enemies are doing a lot more moving, things like that. And you just get better like that, right? Like, believe it or not, if you guys watch the higher, tier players are on the game that are like, Eternity Plus, Celestial Plus, that are on PC specific, because let's just be honest, PC just hits at a different firing rate than console does. But if you're watching them, a lot of times these people, they practice straight up. They practice, believe it or not. So you should practice yourself. So take it to the firing range, whatever, learn the new character, right? So once you learn the character, you'll be straight, right? You just need to try it, right? Don't count yourself out. Now, why do you need to play DPS and or tank, right? In tank, we'll get to tank in a second, but we'll mainly focus on DPS, right? The reason you need to play DPS, right? Or at least somebody on your team. If you're with friends, obviously you need to have somebody on your friends that plays DPS. But if it's just you solo, you need to play DPS. Why? Because you have to kind of force yourself out the ring. When you play strategist, you're essentially playing now passive. You are a passive player. You are now relying on others to get the job done, which unfortunately does not work all the time, because there's not really a code to queuing that says, hey, you're going to get a lobby full of DPS or even split of DPS, tank, and support. It's just not like that. So you as a player have to be able to play DPS and get yourself out the ring, right? Because as strategists, like I said, you're just relying on others to get it done. And you can be the best strategist on planet Earth, but as long as the enemy team is not dying, it doesn't matter, right? At least as a DPS, you can trade. You get what I'm saying? So you can go out as a DPS and you can at least trade. But you're not trading on support more often than not. You're gonna sit here, heal, 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 heal. You're gonna come get dove and you're gonna die. And that's your game. You're gonna get shot at. You're gonna die. Your teammates are gonna be fighting forever and then ultimately lose the fight because they can't get any kills. So, at the end of the day, if you really want to push, you have to really play DPS. If you realize you're stuck and you're a strategist particularly, you gotta go play DPS. And now, tank is a possible play. It is a pick, because you can just play an aggressive tank, right? At the end of the day, you can play Strange, you can play Thor. There's a lot of aggressive tanks out there. You can simply just pick a tank, and it can be just as effective, but it'll be a lot harder, because a lot of times when people have health, like that higher health, you are the big target. So sometimes you get bursted down, everybody will focus you. and it's not as easy. Like the gimmicks, like Strange, you have to kind of aim in front of people because you have projectiles. You have to time your explosion. You have to throw your shields up. Like you have to play around with it, but it can get the job done. But it might require a little bit more labbing. Same with characters like Thor. He's not just aim and shoot. You know, you gotta use his hammers. You gotta fly in, fly out, activate his thunder god at the perfect time. Like there's a lot more timing things that go into playing an aggressive tank well than it does just the standard DPS. But as my next point, like I said, you really have to lock into either a DPS or an aggressive tank if you want to get out of it. On to the next point. So here we're going to talk about priority. You have to be able to figure out who you're going to prioritize when you're attacking, right? So now that I've told you that you need to be on DPS or tank, right, you need to figure out, well, who are you going for? If you are playing an aggressive tank and or DPS, your priority is generally always going to be support, right? The strategy. Right? That's who you want to go for in the ideal situation. It does not always work out like that. Okay? You will not always be able to go for the strategy. Priority can change, right? That's the thing a lot of people don't understand. So the thing is, you have to be flexible. You have to understand that priority changes. It's like real life. It is not always stagnant. The course of the game is always changing. So yes, your priority in a perfect world will always be go straight to the strategies, get them out the game. But you might not always be able to do that. So you need to be able to switch your priority to the most likely kill. And it's almost never the tank, but sometimes it is, okay? So there are going to be times where you're in a fight and you have a DPS, like there's the enemy DPS there low, you need to go ahead and get that DPS out of the game, okay? And then try to go back to getting the support out of the game. Because at the end of the day, when you get the support out of the game, generally the team falls. But if you can eliminate a DPS, go for it. If you notice the DPS is separated, his healers are caught up doing something else, maybe defending, keeping somebody else up that's getting dove by a cap or something like that, that's when you strike. So you need to be able to pick your targets wisely. Or let's say a thing runs into your line and he's real deep into your team lines and he's out of line of sight of his team. You guys as a team collectively should be bursting that guy down, right? He becomes number one priority, even though he's a tank. But he's number one priority because he's the easiest thing to kill. He is almost a guaranteed kill. So obviously anything can happen, anything can move out, his team can come to him. I think it happens to change it. That's why I'm not saying it's not guaranteed, it's almost a guaranteed kill. So understand your priority. So figure out who is the most likely character on enemy team to die to your push. That's who you target.
Thank you, Rivals,
right?
because I was
Or
just
to your
shooting,
team,
and it
right?
wouldn't let
So
me
picking
shoot
out,
over terrorists.
and like I said, obviously if you're talking to people, this becomes a lot easier. But if you're just solo and you're trying to talk to your chat, your team, and they're not responding, you kind of just have to make these, I guess, educated guesses on your own. So you're pushing. You see two sports over there. They see a Psylocke, and you can 1v1 the Psylocke because she's not getting heals, you're not getting heals. That may become your target. You need to take that fight, right? Don't just walk past her because a lot of people will walk past the person you need to kill, and then that leads to your team getting rolled or you getting shot in the back. Don't just walk past people willy-nilly. There are times where it's like, okay, you should take the fight. There are times where maybe you need to avoid detection and go for the next person behind. It all depends. So just try to get used to prioritizing people that are not just tanks sitting in the front line. Because tanks in the front line probably won't die. So you want to go around the tanks in the front line and try to go for either a DPS or a tank or any single out person, whether it be a tank, DPS, or support. All right, so this next one, we're going to call it targeting. It's very, very similar to priority. It's around the same thing, but I made it a separate section because it does end up being different, right? So targeting. Because targeting, when I say targeting, this requires a team effort, okay? So this is where there is a person in the lobby that is the problem. You need to target the problem. Get the problem out of the game. There have been plenty of times where I've been playing games and a competent team will stop the problem child from going crazy. So, what does that mean? That means one, they're gonna counter pick me. I'm playing Hela. They picking Strange now. When I pop my ult, Strange is in the air. They have Emma as well. They have two forms of shield to make sure that I can't just pick at their team for free, standing front lane to front lane, or playing mid lane or their front lane. I can't just shoot there for free. So now I have to get a lot more creative and go around. I have to play flank lanes and things like that. You can't just run straight at them because they're gonna be shielded. And that's a form of targeting, right? So that is a defensive targeting against me, especially as they see like I'm the ace. So they're like, make sure the ace can no longer play the game he wants to play. So now they're taking the game out of my hands, right? Because at the end of the point, you're trying to carry, right? Everybody wants to carry the game. So when everybody's trying to carry the game, but let's say you're the one actually carrying the game, a competent team will realize, this one person's running the game. So let's stop that. Let's take him out of the equation by playing against that singular person. And it changes the game. That's defensive targeting. Let's talk about offensive targeting. So to the same beat, let's say there's someone who you can tell is obviously holding the team together. Whether it be a DPS, tank, or strategist. If you notice there's a one key player that is just keeping the team alive or making plays to make your team turn around, eliminate them, right? If you notice that there is a Moon Knight running a muck, you guys need to target him with running a Psylocke or a Punisher or a Hela or something like that. You need to have one hit scan attack at him a distance and then a Psylocke to maybe flank him and just eliminate him out the game. If you have a Spider-Man and he's just folding your team for a long time, you need to dedicate 2 to 3 players to only target that guy and successfully get him out of the game, right? So when I say targeting, I mean you need to neutralize the threat, right? This isn't targeting in the chance of, or in the frame of, oh, well, we counterpicked, but we're not actually looking at the person. Oh, I chose Namor, but I'm throwing my squids behind me, but he's still killing me because I'm still looking for it. That's not what I mean with the targeting is you are looking at player 4, 5, 6, and 4, 5, 6 becomes we are making sure player 4, 5, 6 can no longer play the game. That is what I mean when I say play targeting. So, 4, 5, 6 is playing Moon Knight and he's going crazy. Okay, we need to make sure we get shields on the field. So player 4, 5, 6 with Moon Knight can no longer use his Ankhs and things like that to get free bounces because we have shields everywhere. That's what I mean when I say target. So going out of your way to neutralize a particular player from playing the game and having fun. So you do that and it'll change the game. That's it for this tip. All right. That's essentially it. The only last final tip I can give you. There's probably more, right? Somebody probably commented if people actually watch this video. But obviously there's a lot more things you can do to get better. At the end of the day, just practice. But the next thing that I think a lot of people don't do, and it comes down to you just not having the time to do it, right? You just gotta persevere. You just gotta keep clicking the square button. I mean, obviously you gotta know when to stop. You gotta know when to stop queuing. But sometimes you just gotta play, right? I feel like a lot of times people just don't give the game enough time to climb. At the end of the day, in my opinion, the easiest way to climb is just have the time. If you don't have the time, it'll be hard to climb. But if you give somebody all the time in the world to just keep playing, at some point you will break out. So out of all the tips that I just shared, if you're one of those people, I'm gonna just keep, and you're like, I'm just gonna keep playing strategies, I don't care about any of those tips, you just keep queuing. At some point, believe it or not, it could take you the entire season. You will eventually rank up. You will eventually get out. It's just gonna happen, right? If you keep queuing. But if you're only able to get like an hour of the game on a day, you're gonna find it like, man, you're not gonna move far. Or you get maybe 3 hours in the whole week. You're not gonna move far. It's just what it is, right? And that's okay, right? Because we have responsibilities as people, right? You might be in high school, or maybe you're on summer break. Maybe you're an adult and you gotta go to work. Maybe you're in college and you're studying for summer classes right now, or you're in school currently. Maybe you're watching this during the school year and you got school to worry about. At the end of the day, we all have different things we're dealing with. So the last one I'm saying, like, obviously just play the game. It might sound like, man, what do you mean just play the game? But at the end of the day, that ends up just being the biggest push to your account. Is if you have the time, you can push very far. So don't give up. Don't play 2 matches. Oh, I lost 2 matches. All right, I'm done. Because if you keep going with that mentality and that's just how you play, you'll find that you won't make it far. So just persevere. and just try to push through. Apply all the tips that I told you, and you might just be able to make it up. But that's it. That's all I got for you. Go ahead and do me a favor. Comment what rank y'all are in the comments. Let me know what console you play on, whether you play an Xbox, PC, or PlayStation. And then go ahead and make some friends. If you hard stuck right now and you like, man, I need some people to lock in with, go ahead and drop your tag down there, and hopefully somebody else to add you, and y'all can go ahead and team up and go ahead and get out of it. I would say I can play with y'all, but unfortunately, I got a team. PC, I'm down to lock in with some people. Y'all want to hop in on PC? Let me know. I can play on my PC account, but on my PlayStation account, I play with my boys, and so unfortunately, I can't lock in with y'all on the PlayStation. Unfortunately, but PC, I got you. If y'all want to play the game on PC, let me know. You can lock in. That's all the tips I got for y'all. Hopefully, it'll help, and hopefully, I'll see y'all in Platinum, Diamond, maybe even Grandmaster, maybe even Celestial or Eternity. I don't know about one above all, but hopefully you'll make it. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.